have to cut this part out too. Take two. Gotta have something in here to get this cover loose. Didn't think of that. We should have quite a mess as soon as this comes off. As far as I know, it's never been off since 1964. I mean, who knows? The thing only has 130,000 miles on it or something. Not a ton. Oh yeah, this is gonna be fun. Okay, mallet. Actually, I'm not gonna pull the bolt all the way off. Oh, come on. All right, well, that's how it goes. I'll have to clip this out. Here we go, 0 to 60. That's 12s in the 8th mile, baby. All right, we're gonna try it again. Well, here we are back at D1 V8 Motorsports. It's the reveal. We're gonna find out what the old gear ratio was in this old Buick. So give me a second. You should see the production quality of the set here. It's pretty, it's pretty top notch. It's the best you can get. Anyway, we're gonna pull out the last bolt and we're gonna try to get this rear end cover off of here. All right, take 3. Here we go. You're coming with me. There we are. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's black. No surprise. Probably a lot of miles on it. Rear end oil is kind of an overlooked maintenance item. I think on the newer, at least on my newer pickup, it's a 100,000 mile service type of deal. So, anxious to see what this old ratio is, because that's going to tell us how much this is going to wake this old girl up, because it's getting 411s. Now, what are the chances the rear end's in the right spot to read? Oh, well, there's part number. Let's see. Get some lighting on this here. I think it says 1337. $284? Can that be right? Well, if that's right, again, editing. Yeah, 284, 285. Phone a friend. Thanks, George. Anyway, so the ratio is taller than 300, and we're going to a 411. That's gonna wake this thing up. Now, again, sorry. It's a Weezer V6, but it's still gonna be fun to see the difference. And so If you're thinking of something to do to your old American muscle car, a lower gear ratio can do wonders. You can do nothing under the hood and lower the gear ratio, and the car will perk right up. Anyway, that's it for this morning. We're going to tear this old rear end out and get the new one in there. Probably get some time lapse of that, and we'll push forward. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Well, all right, when you're working by yourself, you need tools. I'm thinking these are the tricks of the trade for this rear end install, and to get the old one out too. We're going to use the engine hoist here, and we're going to use the tranny jack donated by my neighbor, Orion. Anyway, so use the hoist, get the rear end dangling on there. We'll get it strapped to this hoist, and this thing goes up quite a ways, and so should be able to get it on here, and then it rotates, so we'll be able to position the rear end up through the center of the hoist and then rotate it, put it right in the car. That's the theory, so we'll see how that works out. It's on the tranny jack. Okay, so maybe it's a little sketchy, or maybe I overdid it. So it's strapped on there. This thing's heavy, and I'm not strong. And so anyway, it's a little sketchy, but it's probably going to be fine. This is a really old tranny jack, but it's built stout. And so we won't be having the kids play around this jack while this thing's on here, but hopefully it won't be on there too long. There's a little slope to the shop for drain off, so, and this thing rolls pretty easy, so it wants to roll around. But there you have it, ready to install. Look at this thing, nice. Definitely going to be the nicest part on the car. Probably capable of handling 1,000 horsepower. This car won't have 1,000 horsepower. It probably won't have 100 horsepower when I first put it in. But we're gonna see what it does in the 411 gears. So stay tuned. Okay, well, I didn't do a time lapse. You know, they're overdone. Anyway, got the old rear end out. Really wasn't too bad. Tried to avoid scratching my pretty hoist. Anyway, really came apart pretty easy. PB blaster for the win, this stuff. My buddy George suggested hitting everything with this ahead of the de-install, and I think that helped a lot. That rear end's been in there since 1964, so all the bolts were, you know, old and rusty. Anyway, I'm gonna reuse the springs. I think I'm even gonna reuse those coilover shocks. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, the old one's out. Gonna try to get the new one at least sitting on the hoist, lined up, and should be able to get it bolted in here. And I'll show you what it looks like when it's all done. Stay tuned. Enough time lapse. The battery actually died mid wrestle here. Yep, this is what you get. It's 89 degrees out here. Let me show you around this thing. First, look at the beautiful sunny day we got going. Who's dumb enough to work this hard on a nearly 90-degree day? I am. I was excited to get this rear end installed. It actually went pretty good. The whole transfer from the transmission jack to the engine hoist to the 4-point hoist here was very sketchy. Fortunately, it probably won't really show that in the time lapse, but I'm glad I didn't have an audience. It didn't go necessarily smoothly, but no injuries. I don't think I really scratched anything up, and the rear end's bolted in there. So these things have a 4-link. Probably any of the car guys are familiar with Chevelle Impala 4-link rear ends, factory 4-link. Those are the old rusty 64 trailing arms or control arms in there, and some super old coilover shocks, and we're gonna run all of it. And so I've got to do a U-joint swap. My buddy George hooked me up. Actually, it's right over here. I'll show you. That new 9-inch has a 1350 U-joint, and that stock old drive shaft has a little U-joint on it. And so, whoopsie. Anyway, you can see one side's bigger than the other, and the big side will go on the 9-inch, and the little side will go on the old stock drive shaft. So really anxious to get this thing out and see how it performs. I've still got brake plumbing to do. Still got to hook up the shocks, get the springs in their pockets, and hook up the emergency brake and all that. And then the pièce de résistance will be bolting these center lines onto those big 5/8 studs. It's going to look race car, even though it's not. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. I'll probably put a two-parter in. So this will be part one. Part two is going to be the 0 to 60 test, and hopefully a posi burnout, or a spool burnout, as it were. Thanks for watching. All bolted in. The giant overkill 5/8 racing lug nuts and studs.